So today I'm going to show you some helpful keyboard shortcuts for building out formulas in Excel. And so this will be really helpful for anyone who does a lot of financial modeling. And so to teach this lesson, we're going to use a simple financial model for a fictitious company. Let's call it Company A. As a quick side note, it's very common in financial models to use color coding to establish the difference between formulas, hard-coded values, and lengths. And so in my model, any blue cells, these represent hard-coded values, and black will be formulas. So our model provides us with some assumptions below that we'll use to build out the projections. So let's get started with revenue. 2022 revenue is given, so we will calculate 2023 revenue as the prior year times 1 plus the revenue growth rate. Instead of rewriting this formula into the next cell, we will instead highlight both cells and hit Ctrl R. This will carry the formula we have in cell D5 over to cell E5. Now I'm just going to check that my formulas were carried over correctly. So I go into each cell and hit the F2 key, which opens up the cell formula. And I toggle between F2 and the escape key. Now I'll head to the COGS row and multiply revenue by the COGS percent of sales. I'll also calculate gross profit as sales less COGS and the percent of sales as gross profit divided by revenue. Before I hit enter, I want to think about how I may use this formula in the future. I will likely want to calculate the percent of sales for EBIT and EBITDA as well. And so anticipating this, I'm going to hit the F4 key to toggle between absolute and relative references for the cell C5. Now what this does is it adds dollar signs to the reference cell C5. And what I'm looking to do is to add the dollar sign to before the 5, but not before the C. This essentially means that the row is locked, but not the column. Once I hit enter, I'm going to once again highlight my new formulas in the cells to the right and hit Ctrl R. I always like to check that my new formulas were carried over correctly, so I'm going to toggle between F2 and escape just to double check, but this is obviously an optional step. Once I feel good about this section, I'll move down to the expense rows below. Starting with R&D, I'll multiply revenue by the R&D percent of sales. But once again, I'm going to use the F4 key to add a dollar sign in front of the 5 of the reference cell C5. Now what this allows me to do is only write this formula once, and then I can accurately copy the formula into the other expense cells. I'm going to use Ctrl D to drag the formula down, and Ctrl R to drag the formula right. As you can see, each cell is accurately calculating off of the correct revenue number. So using the F4 key can be a really great way to save time when writing formulas. Now I'll fill in the formulas for EBIT and EBITDA and copy them to the right. As I mentioned before, I also want to add percent of sales below each of these lines. So I need to first insert new rows. To do that, I highlight the row I want to insert a row above by holding down Shift and spacebar. Then, to insert a row, I hit Ctrl Shift plus. Now I'll go back to the percent of sales row below gross profit and copy the entire row and paste it into the newly inserted rows. Now let's say that I want to use this template to create projections for another company. Instead of starting from scratch, I can copy and paste this entire sheet. To do this, I hit Alt-H-O-M. I then hit Alt-C to make sure I'm copying rather than moving the sheet. Then I can use the tab keys to decide if I want to create this new sheet in a new or existing workbook. I can then rename this sheet by hitting Alt-H-O-R and typing in the new sheet name. This allows you to easily leverage any existing work that you've done and avoid duplicating effort. Now that concludes this lesson. I hope that you found this helpful. Please like and subscribe if you did, and leave me any comments that you may have.